I hate Scrum. It's ridiculous. Let's use some examples. Welcome to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer Tomlinson, and here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps, as well as to build custom software solutions for companies. I do a lot of work as a fractional CTO with over a decade of executive leadership and a solid 25 years in software development. I've mastered the art of transforming technology, teams, and products. Today, we're diving into a topic that might ruffle some feathers: why I hate Scrum and why it's frankly ridiculous. So let's dive into why I can't stand Scrum. I am going to use some real-world examples. So let's start with a daily stand-up. It's cornerstone of Scrum. Now, these meetings are supposed to be quick check-ins, but they often turn into extended stand-up comedy sessions without the laughs. Everyone shares what they did yesterday, what they're doing today, and any blockers. Now, it sounds good in theory, but in reality, often it becomes a repetitive waste of time. So how many times can you hear "still working on the same ticket" before you want to scream? As developers, our time is precious, and endless stand-ups aren't the best use of it. So make sure that your stand-ups are good. Even though I don't like Scrum, I'm actually a big believer in stand-ups. You just got to make sure you run them right. So next, we have sprint planning. This is where the team gets together to plan out the work for the next sprint, typically 2 weeks. So the problem? Sprint planning can feel like a never-ending debate club. Prioritizing tasks, estimating efforts, and agreeing on what can realistically be accomplished often leads to hours of discussions and very little actual planning. It's like trying to herd cats, and we all know how that ends. So effective planning is crucial, but sprint planning often misses the mark. So the myth of the burn-down chart. The burn-down chart, Scrum's favorite visual aid. The idea is to track progress and ensure the team is on pace to complete the sprint. In reality, the burn-down chart often looks like a random line graph with no relation to the actual progress. Tasks get completed at different rates, unforeseen issues arise, and the chart becomes more of a stress indicator than a useful tool. Watching the burn-down chart is like watching a horror movie. You know something bad is going to happen, but you're not really sure when. The dreaded sprint retrospective, a lesson in futility. So the sprint retrospective is meant to be a time for reflection and improvement. The team discusses what went well, what didn't, and how to improve. However, it often devolves into a gripe session with little actionable outcome. Repeatedly discussing the same issues without resolution can be incredibly frustrating. It's like being stuck in a loop discussing the same problems with no end in sight. Improvements is key in development, but retrospectives often fail to reach the real design. User stories, fact or fiction? User stories are another Scrum staple. They're supposed to describe features from an end user's perspective. The reality, they often read like bad fiction. Writing clear, concise, and actionable user stories is an art, and not everyone is an artist. Misunderstandings and misinterpretations can lead to wasted efforts and rework. It's like playing a game of telephone where the original message gets distorted by the time it reaches the developers. The Scrum Master, the zealot in the room. Now, I'm actually a 2-time trained Scrum Master, but every team has a Scrum Master whose job is to ensure the team follows Scrum practices. But sometimes the Scrum Master turns into a Scrum zealot, enforcing rules with the fervor of a drill sergeant. Flexibility often goes out the window, and the teams end up spending more time adhering to Scrum rituals than actually developing software. It's like having a gym coach who cares more about you counting your reps perfectly than getting a good workout. Balance is essential, but zealotry disrupts all of it. The sprint review, a dog and pony show. So the sprint review is where teams showcase the work completed during the sprint. It's supposed to be a time for feedback and celebration. However, it often feels like a dog and pony show with the team scrambling to make everything look perfect. The pressure to deliver polished demos can lead to cutting corners or presenting unfinished work. It's like putting lipstick on a pig and hoping no one notices. Genuine feedback is critical, but the format often misses it. Velocity, the false idol. Scrum teams often measure their productivity using velocity, the amount of work completed in a sprint. The problem? Velocity can become a false idol, worshipped at the expense of quality. Teams might inflate their estimates or rush through tasks to boost their numbers. It's like measuring your fitness by the number of gym visits rather than actual health improvements. Focusing on velocity can lead to a decline in the quality of work and team morale. Next, the never-ending sprints. Scrum sprint cycles can lead to a never-ending treadmill. Just as you catch your breath from one sprint, the next one begins. The relentless pace can lead to burnout and diminished creativity. Developers need time to think, experiment, and innovate, but the constant pressure of sprints leaves little room for that. It's like running a marathon with no finish line in sight. Balance and pacing are crucial for sustaining productivity. Finally, Scrum often places an overemphasis on process rather than outcomes. The rituals, meetings, and artifacts can overshadow the actual goal of, developing software. It's easy to get lost in the mechanism of Scrum and lose sight of the bigger picture. It's like focusing more on the ingredients than the dish you're trying to cook. The process should serve the outcome, not the other way around. Now, what are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'd love to have a great discussion, so make sure to leave a comment down below and make sure to like and subscribe. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps. So reach out because we'd love to help you. If you want to learn to code, we can largely get most people applied for through the government and help get your tuition covered. So check out startuphack.com and reach us at info@startuphack.com because we'd love to help you out. And we'll catch you guys next time.